welcome to Lunch Therapy Interview Friday. Today we are very, very happy to have Frania on the show today. She is a behaviorist, an animal behaviorist, and she has been doing this for decades. Frania Shelley Grielen. So bring your questions about your cats and dogs and birds if you have them. We are going to be talking communicating with animals. And as we know, many of us know, sometimes we think we know what our animals are saying to us and we are wrong. So we've got to be able to read signals because we don't speak exactly the same language. Holy Claster fan, great to see you. Great to see you, Camila Lopez. Speaking of Camila Lopez, she's got a staged reading tonight, which I'm going to promote in a minute here. This is the little teaser for it. It's called The Only Girl Who Likes Frank Zappa. I don't know. Is there only one? There's only one. And it's going to be a staged reading that's happening at Kuhn Studios, 319 West Cahuenga Boulevard. For those of you who are in the area, there's a link in the show notes and to the email address where you RSVP. It's free, Chris, with a $10 donation. That's not free. $10 donation. And it's tonight, February 27th, and also February 28th, Saturday night. I'm going to be going. I'll see you all there. I'm going to both. Chris Fletcher, Liesl Hansen, Trista Robinson, and Camila Lopez. Camila is directing and starring in it. So come on by, Kuhn Studios. Todd Lee is here. Hoy dilly daily do. Hopefully Todd has dogs. Hopefully you can bring some dog questions into this thing. So we're a bunch of cats. I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 Okay, we got some advice about dogs here. Don't eat the yellow snow from Howard Aronin, comedian here in Los Angeles, also flight attendant extraordinaire. He's a Patreon of the show. This is a thank you to all the Patreons out there. All their names are there, and we're just happy to have them. This is how we do independent media. Frania and I were talking about independent media these days and how there's so much of it. And how can you compete with what's going on and how can you make money? Well, a lot of the things that we try to do here is promote positive behavior, promote breathing and taking care of one another, taking care of our pets, taking care of our lives, communing together, and no hate. We try and keep the hate to a minimum around here, even though sometimes we have movie reviews and it sways a little bit into back talk. I don't know. It's a Zappa line. Oh, it's a song lyric? Wow, Howard. Oh my gosh. The only girl, what was it? The only girl who likes Frank Zappa. The only girl who likes Frank Zappa. That's a line from one of his songs? Oh my gosh. I learn all the time on this show. Let's breathe. Oh, the yellow snow one is. Oh my gosh. The comments. It says Zappa line, don't way down where the huskies go. Don't you eat that yellow snow. Thank you very much. I am now clued in. That's the lyric, Marshall. I know, I thought it was weird that he'd be saying the only girl that likes Frank Zappa about his own song. That'd be weird. All right, here we go. We're going to breathe. And of course, we have the cat Perseus back there helping us breathe. And Travis Schumacher, of course, behind Perseus. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. You'd think I'd be quicker on the uptake after all this time, wouldn't you? In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. getting worried about Guignol sitting on that beach for a year now. I hear it's good for you, as long as you get up and do yoga every once in a while. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. Yeah, these are sound bowls, relaxing times for us. Relaxes the nervous system. Sometimes people listen to this when they sleep. They have a whole channel that is just black screens with this sound. It's kind of cool. Perseus loves it. Perseus stays there the whole time. I think Perseus, well, I don't know. We got to talk to the animal behaviorist about this. This seems like a good topic. All right, let's get into this thing. I am so excited. There's the poster again for y'all. I am so excited about our guest today because I love to talk about animals. I've always loved animals. We've always had them in our homes. Although when Camel and I, my wife and I, first got together, we were living without animals. And one of our friends said, "You need to get an animal, a cat." We were like, "Oh, I don't know. Our life's so busy, we can't take care of it." But one adopted us. One just showed up one day. Cracker was the cat's name. It's a little white cat that just showed up in our backyard one day and just adopted us. We had the cat for a couple of years, fell in love with it. It was kind of a cranky cat. And we liked that about it. One day the neighbor's kid showed up and they were like, "What's Harry doing here?" And we were like, "Harry, that's Cracker." And she was like, we were like, "You can't have it back." She said, "I got this cat when I was a little kid." And we were like, "You can't have Cracker back." And she was like, "Oh, I don't want Cracker. I don't want Harry." So luckily we were able to keep Harry, Cracker. And it was just a wonderful cat that lived for a long, long time and was always there for us. And we were always there for her? Yes, Harry was a her. Perseus the cat. Just J Comedian is here. She's got some sugar kitty questions. That's her cat. When couples first meet, they're animal enough. They don't need more of them. Once that wears off, time for a pet. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, we've got a real expert here on the show. She really speaks pet language, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by Frania Shelley Grielen. She is an applied animal behaviorist, educator, trainer, and author whose work helps humans understand the inner lives of the animals they love. She holds advanced degrees in animal behavior, and her science-based, welfare-centered approach has helped thousands of people decode everything from cat quirks to canine anxieties, and even the behavior of birds and urban wildlife. Urban wildlife. She's the author of Behavior Matters for Cats and Dogs, which is a great new book that she has. It's an award-winning, insightful guide to companion animal behavior. And she's the creator of the long-standing resource animalbehavior.us, where she shares humane strategies grounded in science and compassion. So we're going to dive into that. She also has great YouTube channels and TikTok channels and all that stuff. So I'm really, really happy to have her on the show. Let's get into this thing, Interview Friday.
Now, let's take a look at the things you don't want to do when it comes to petting your cat.
Ah! Oh no, I'm so guilty of that. I am so guilty of the belly rubs. And this too. Very guilty of this. right. Welcome, Frania Shelley Grielen, to Lunch Therapy.
Thank you so much, Joel, and thanks for the great introduction. I really appreciate being here with you guys today.
Oh, so glad to have you. I want to ask you really quickly about this petting cats because I do it wrong. I do all of the things that you say. I mean, I don't. Maybe I even pat them. That was only a few of them. One of the things I'm guilty of is holding the cat like a baby. What does that do?
So the cat has what's called a righting reflex, and when we hold them upside down this way, what we're doing is we're actually driving them to instinctually turn around and upside down because this is built into them.
Yeah.
You're falling, right?
Yeah.
Cat can't fall from a certain height and not be damaged by it. So a lot of what this stuff that we're looking at, you really want to start with natural behavior, natural history of the animal. Holding the cat upside down is dangerous for the cat, and the cat will fight against it and will do that literal reflex where it'll try to right itself, turn itself around. Same thing with the patting and where we're putting our hands on the animals. If you look at cats and you see how they greet each other, they will greet nose to nose and they will rub against the side of the face, the muzzle, with each other. So if we look at how animals are interacting with each other in the natural world, this is our best cue for how to interact with them. Cats are not, they will briefly maybe go alongside the flank of an affiliate, but it's a very brief interaction, and it's also with known affiliates. So another thing, whether it's cats or dogs, this kind of full body stroking is an arousing sensation for the animal. So it kind of, not only will the cat or the dog will maybe tolerate it more, but it's going to excite them. So for the dog, we would want to do more of our petting here. But for the cat, to that specific point, is we really want to look at how are these animals interacting with each other? And when they interact with each other, how does that affect them? Is it something that is it in a positive way, or is it something that's a negative thing that they're responding to? So when you look at how they're greeting each other as affiliates and as companions, that's what we want to try to replicate. We're not cats and we're not dogs, but we want to be able to, and we want to respect what their natural instincts would be. So this upside down like a baby for a human, or primates, we may want to be held in this way to be comforted. But these are not these are not primates. These are felines.
I notice my cat will turn its head and look at the floor when I do that. It's probably trying to get itself righted.
Because that's the righting reflex. The head turns and looks down because they're trying to position themselves so that they can get away.
Do they get used to it after a while? They're like, oh, Marshall, this is the way he does it. So I guess I'm going to have to just do this. I think
that with you as the affiliate, as a known affiliate, right, as someone that they have a relationship with, there may be a degree of trust. And certainly if you've done it when they were younger, they may have a larger degree of trust, but it's a tolerance. It's not something that they like.
They're
right?
doing it for you, just to kind of.
Yeah, exactly. They'll put up with it more, and they may trust that you're not going to.
Yeah.
In that How Not to Pet a Cat video, which I did, and at the end of it, there's How to Pet a Cat.
Yes,
I just wanted to. Yeah, right. The more common ways that we think, and we do a lot too of the petting that we think a dog would enjoy with cats, and cats and dogs are different again.
I was raised with dogs, and we didn't have cats, and we used to thump them on the side, or we'd like pat them. And I don't know if that's not cool either, but it doesn't work with the cat. They don't like to be like jostled around like that.
Well, I don't think that any animal really, I mean, it's a consent thing, right? No matter what it is. I talked about the affiliate thing. We invade their space and we think it's okay, right?
Yeah.
Let me just go and put my hands on. And we don't want to be anthropomorphic. We don't want to give human characteristics to animals. That's one of the biggest ways
the
we
hardest
can get
thing, because we totally do that, or I do it all the time.
Sure. And that's the most fascinating thing I think about animals, companion animals and human beings, is that we do kind of have this, convergence where we can communicate and we do have similar emotions, but we are experiencing the world in a completely different way. there's something about birds that always kind of fascinated me. And Graham Martin, who's an avian behaviorist, said the difference with humans is we go into the world and that birds go through it. And so
Oh,
if you think about that, just think about the vision of a bird and where the eyes are and how they have a field of vision that we don't have. So when they're going through the world, it's just this
interesting.
stereoscopic view,
Yeah.
which is what I think is one of the most fascinating things about animals is that their sensation and perception, how they see, what they can smell, what they can, the ultraviolet range of a bird, or the smells or the sounds that cats and dogs or birds even can experience that we don't. But then the planes that we still meet on and that we share.
How, in your book, you said cats and humans have had a relationship for 15,000 years, and that is apparently newer than dogs. How were these bonds developed over time with cats and dogs and humans?
So this is a very interesting thing. We're talking about domestication, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and again, when you think about the natural world, and you think about all the animals that are in it, we didn't domesticate every animal. We domesticated only initially. This initial phase, there's phases of domestication, and we initially domesticated about 14.
Oh,
And the animals we domesticated had to have certain characteristics in order for us to domesticate them, right? So,
mm-hmm.
like, why the zebra? Why the horse? Well, we domesticated the horse, but not the zebra, right?
Yeah.
So, you had to have a certain, it had to be certain amenable to man. You had to be able to raise them. You had to be able to take them away from their parents at a certain age. There were all sorts of conditions,
Is it also
but
use to us,
use,
like
absolutely.
use
Well,
case scenario?
use comes, yes, absolutely. So when we're looking at them as what we can, what they can, how they can benefit us. But what's interesting about the dog really is a species where they kind of come along, and there's varying theories on how these dogs get domesticated. But the one that seems to make, or seems to be prevailing and make a lot of sense is that these are scavengers that are coming close to human encampments, and they were
Oh,
garbage, right?
yes.
Garbage. So whatever you're not eating, I and you see this in the animal world too. You know, an animal will, vultures or different kinds of animals, whatever, there's a kill or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it's left over, and nothing goes to waste in the natural world.
Yeah.
So what we start to see is we start to see these animals, these dogs or ancestors of dogs, and that's, you know, we say it's, we've got one cat so far.
Yeah, I love it. I've seen, yeah,
So,
two cats I think I've seen. Yeah.
okay. So we get these dogs that start to come closer. Now you have the ones that are, the animals are individuals, right? So the
Yeah.
ones that are less afraid of man will start to come closer and closer in proximity. And maybe then when they have babies, we also know that we have evidence that people will come and take these animals in and maybe start to raise them. And so you start to develop now this relationship with these wild canids that start to become domesticated. And dogs are a tremendous species for us because they help us in so many ways in terms of working with us, hunting, exploring. Um, I mean, even sometimes at the end of explorations, when people would get hungry, dogs would be the ones who would be the, you know,
Yeah.
would get,
Get some
yeah, be the
scraps.
sustenance. Yeah, or become the sustenance in
Oh,
some
the
of these.
dogs will become the food.
Yeah. So so
Wow.
so yeah, and different. I mean, shepherds, you know, with farming, with it's just a wide range of performance that these dogs end up doing for human beings, and
Wow.
a lot of their traits then start to change. A lot of how they differ from the wolf. So this is a completely different species.
Mm.
Cats, however, um, come along way later, and they come along more with agriculture, right? So when you start to go from these hunter gatherers and you start planting things, and you start storing grain, what do you get? You get
Rodents.
vermin,
Yeah.
you get rodents. And the cat comes along, and the cat's like, okay, they're fine with proximity to human beings if that comes along. And Francis Galton, who is the cousin of Charles Darwin, makes these observations, writes this great
Oh,
thing about domestication. But he
wow.
says the cat is different from a lot of these because the cat is defined, it may not be so friendly when it comes to man,
Uh-huh.
but it has an extreme adherence to home. Cat really likes being in the house.
You
So,
said something like that in your book about cats maybe are more attached to the home than they are their human companions.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes when you're moving, cats really don't like moving. They're not very happy about the move. And maybe sometimes if a good person came along
Yeah.
and just moved in, they'd be like, "This is fine."
That actually makes me feel better about when I leave my cats with a caretaker, somebody taking care of my cats and like go on a trip or something like that. Because I always feel like my cats are just going to be so sad without me. But maybe if they have their home in the same way maybe that's more comforting to them than me picking them up upside
Well,
down like a baby.
they, I mean, they want a good person, right? They
Yeah.
want someone who's familiar. I mean, I think sometimes with caretakers, you want to do some kind of an introductory process, just
Oh,
not, because a
definitely.
stranger comes in. Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't like that either.
Now, sometimes when I go to the vet, I'm still stuck on the petting part. The cat will enjoy it when the vet scratches its lower back. Is that, I don't know why, I've just noticed that vets tend to do that. Maybe it calms the cat down. I would think that would stimulate it, like the long petting. What do you think about that? The scratching of the lower back by the tail?
I think some vets are better at handling cats than others,
Yeah.
and I wish more behavior was taught in veterinary school. But the bottom line with what you're talking about, there is a reflex where if you will scratch at the base of the tail,
Hmm.
some cats will kind of raise their backside,
Hmm.
right? So they
Yeah.
call it elevator butt, that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I always feel
But
like
not,
there's like a bunch of nerves there or something like that. And I feel
yes,
like doing that is maybe not that great, especially if you do it for too long, like the cat gets overstimulated or something. I feel like that's
I think
like a touchy spot.
I think it's exactly what you said, is
Mm,
that we over touch, we overdo. So if and to touch, not every cat wants to be touched. There's some of them
that's
will
true
let you
too.
touch them there,
Yeah.
and some of them will respond to it. But it's brevity. There's a lot of work with consent, or and even when I tell people with petting, 1, 2, 3 strokes, like don't over pet. It's the over pet that we get into that kind of is what is upsetting the animal more
Mm.
than anything else.
We're getting a lot of good comments.
Yeah.
I'm going to see what some people are saying in the chat room. Matt Wright says that they recently adopted a kitty with no eyes. She's a fearless mischief maker. It's been amazing watching her navigate the physical space, accurately pouncing on toys, figuring out the cat tree, etc. When you walk into the room, she immediately knows you're there and who you are, looks up at you. It's amazing. Have you had experience with blind cats like this?
So again, the way that animals navigate the world is way different than ours, right? So the cat, that we as primates, our number one way that we experience the world is with vision,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's our strongest sense.
Yeah,
We're visual. Cats and dogs are not.
really.
Cats and dogs are relying on scent, and they're relying on sound. And those are really their primary senses. A cat and a dog do have incredible vision. They have actually better vision at night than we do. This is certainly true. And the cat can see things. They're what's called the flicker fusion rate. When they see an object moving, they actually see it faster than we do. But when you walk into a room, your cat hears you before you're coming. The cat
Mm.
smells you before they're coming. And not just that, cats and dogs, well, the cat really more has the whiskers, that that are either on the side of the face and over the eyes and all the rest of this also are picking up currents of air and they're detecting motion.
Really?
So, absolutely, which is cats are actually very nearsighted. So, when you get really close to their eyes, they can't see very well. But what they can tell where an object is in space
Yeah.
is because of the
The
way the air is
whiskers.
flowing from those whiskers. Isn't that fascinating?
That
It's like so
is
cool.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Is it bad to look a cat in the eyes? I know, like I was at the zoo and there was a lion there, and I was looking at it. I was just, observing it, and it was looking me in the eyes, and it turned around and just sprayed on me.
Yeah.
And so, is it offensive to look a cat in the eyes, or does it vary according to your relationship to the cat?
So that's a two-part question, and that's a good question. And I would say that in general, yeah, you should not look any animal in the eyes. Think about the animal kingdom is a world that really is based on deference.
Mm-hmm.
We don't, it's not about fighting, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's fighting is something that is really of a last resort thing. And there's a lot of communication through behavior on how not to fight. And gaze is a very adversarial thing, locking gaze.
Mm.
And looking away is a big deference kind of thing. Cats actually have what's called standoffs. And a standoff, when they are when there's some kind of a conflict that's going on between a cat, they will be staring. And if you can see this sometimes, they'll stare at each other.
Yeah.
They will
Oh,
literally
yeah.
stare. And that is that standoff kind of thing. And they're looking and they may be vocalizing. And that's when you really know you're in trouble, when they get into that very low guttural vocalizing.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that standoff is broken is by one cat turning away. They break gaze. There's an alternation of gaze. And once that you turn away, the other cat can go. It's like, okay, you go. So you don't see a lot of that. And that's what people will say, oh, I don't like cats. They'll go to a cocktail party or they're in somebody's house and they don't look at the cat. And so they're not looking at the cat. They're not looking at the cat. And that's the person that the cat wants to go to.
Yes,
Because that
that's
person's
always
not
the
staring
case.
at them. Right?
That's why, because they're not looking at them.
They're not looking at him. So they're not taking him on, So
They're
it's
not
like,
taking them on.
yeah.
This
But
person
it,
said that they just had their cat go outside. They're mostly inside cats. He was chased by a dog, and now he's been scared of dogs barking, and he won't come out of the room as much as he did before throughout the house, and he seems to be anxious when I pet him, which he was not before. Any advice, please? Thanks
so
for
the cat's
question.
traumatized, right? The cat got outside and he was chased, and that's a very scary thing. And there may have been barking before the chase, right? Maybe the dog alerted to it and like woof woof woof, there's a cat, and then chased. So that predicted the chase. And so of course now this cat is scared. So the big thing here really is time, right? Time. Cats wear a different watch. They experience time differently than we do. And again, this is a human construct where we figure, well, we can explain it and they can understand and this, and this. And they're not working that way. It has to be the environment, which has to be the assurance that the danger has passed. So not putting pressure on that cat and, maybe not petting them. And then I would also say, how are you petting them? And to make sure we're doing it in the most cat-friendly way. And time, no pressure. And then the biggest bang for your buck that you're going to get in terms of changing or mellowing that cat would be interactive play.
And what do you recommend for interactive play for cats?
A fishing wand toy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Those are the best. Those are the best kind of, because think about it again, we're going back to the natural world and to natural behavior. And if we talk about cats are successful in their hunts 20% of the time. It is literally built into the cat to enjoy the hunt.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, if you've ever seen a cat catch a mouse, it's kind of awful for the mouse because the cat doesn't just go for the killing bite. They play with the mouse to some time. And part of that is because you don't learn how to kill the mouse unless your mother taught you how to do that by bringing back live prey and teaching you this killing bite.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you do always know how to, it's instinctive in you to know how to like play with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they literally can sometimes play with these things to death.
Now that brings me to, I have 4 cats, and they sometimes will chase each other. And I'm wondering, is that their hunting instinct, and is that part of play? Or how can you tell when it's a problem between cats? How can you tell when their play is maybe fighting?
Okay, so intercat aggression is a big thing, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest problems. Inappropriate elimination and intercat aggression these are going to be the biggest problems that people will come to behaviorists for or surrender cats
Mm-hmm.
for.
Yeah.
And how can you tell? Well, is it more relaxed? I mean, is it reciprocal? How long does it last? They will play. Cats play like dogs play, and really, it's more of like this: is there self-handicapping that's going on? Are they really going after each other? But the biggest clue
Mm-hmm.
is vocalization.
Oh.
So they will play has rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to want to do it. You both have to agree, and you have to listen when I tell you that you're going too far,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And this applies to cats and dogs, to all species. So if it's something that gets too intense and you can hear a hiss, that's a initial kind of, okay, I don't like what's going on here, stop. But if it gets into these very low guttural yowling
Oh, yeah.
and that kind of, like, that's when you know that they are really serious and stop. And most of the time they will stop. They will leave each other alone when that happens.
Hmm.
I would also add, though, in that home, do we have enough retreats and exits? Do
Hmm.
you have cat trees? Are there places that the cat can go to get away from the other cat when the attention is unwelcome?
Wow.
Are there enough cat beds, raised resting spaces? Is there enough? When we're talking about distribution of resources, is there enough owner retention? But certainly when it comes to the cats that are interacting with each other in a way that we may perceive as negative, are they able to resolve it on their own? Okay, so
Wow.
yeah.
That's great. Okay, so we have another question here. I heard that dogs don't have a real sense of time. Is that true? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I would say just the actual opposite.
Really?
So it's so interesting. Just think about when, I think this is another fascinating thing about animals. Just think about when we change the time.
Yeah.
All right. Your cat and your dog is like, where is the food? They
That's
are
true.
they are so aware of it. And there's actually been some research on this where that has indicated that they do have a sense of time, and they certainly have a circadian rhythm. They actually, what's interesting about it is the day really is less than 24 hours when it comes to circadian rhythms, like 23 and a half.
Mm.
So when you think about, if you feed your cat or your dog at a certain time, they'll actually come towards you, and right, sometimes like beforehand, and they're kind of anticipatory.
Yeah.
They're waiting for that food.
Mm-hmm.
So if they didn't have a sense of time, what are they basing that on? You're not always cueing them with your behavior, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of like, or the cat that wants to be fed in the morning that starts knocking the things off the shelves because you haven't gotten out of bed yet, right? So I would really not agree, and I think that there's research that actually bears out that they do have certainly a sense of time.
They have kind of a strict schedule.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they're cued into the day. They're cued into, you know, they're the most active before, dusk and dawn. They're cued into a natural world where the sun rises and sets every 24 hours or so.
Yeah. So it's all probably, well, it's sun based and also behavior based, I guess.
Yeah, and seasonal.
Todd says, my dogs know when it's time to eat or what time it is to come downstairs in the morning, but it seems it's more based on daylight. Yeah, that's kind of like what we were saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder, I want to talk about, and I don't want to say disciplining, but changing a cat's behavior. Let's talk about cats in this case, just because I have a specific instance. I have a cat that's kind of new to our house. It's not super, it doesn't like to be picked up. It'll just, you can touch it, but it likes just basically what you were saying, like around the face area.
Mm-hmm.
But it's scratching the furniture. And how do you change that behavior? I put things around that they can scratch on, scratching posts and different cardboard things. But it still insists on going and scratching a couple of different chairs. How do you change that behavior? Or can you?
But yes, you can. But to change a behavior, you have to give an alternate that's just as good as. Right?
Oh.
This is really the basic rule. So if I want to change behavior, I have to, I mean, there's a, okay, behavior modification. So 4 parts: remove punishment, right?
Punishment doesn't work, I take it.
We're going to remove punishment. We're
Okay.
going to manage the environment. We're going to do behavior modification. And then we're going to reward any instances of good behavior. Those are the 4 components of a behavior plan. It comes from
Okay.
Karen overall, which is pretty amazing stuff, because it's really, but it's very rich. There's a lot to put into that. So yes, you want to remove punishment for very many reasons. Number one, with cats especially, is that the cat is going to associate you with that, and you're not changing anything. What you're doing is you're hurting the animal. If it's not that punishment doesn't necessarily work, because scientifically we know that, right? If I want to get you to stop doing something, and at this exact moment that you do it, I hit you, you would probably stop doing it. You would not like it for that, right?
Yeah.
So
see.
and you might have other issues that come out of that. So displacement behaviors, and I would have to do it at the exact second that you did it. You might get used to it, so I might have to increase the severity of it. All right. So it gets complicated, and you might never stop doing the thing, because if you really wanted to do it, that's my cat's.
Great.
That's another
Perfect.
cat's tail.
Perfect.
That it would just have to continue. And I haven't changed anything really necessarily in the long run, because you still have the need to perform this behavior. So manage the environment. So you've got places that the cat is scratching. So we would say, okay, how can we make those less attractive? How can I, but you've got a couch, you've got a chair, and you want to be able to sit in that couch and the chair, and the cat, these are the things the cat's targeting. So there are things that people will do. They could put sticky sided tape on that, not very attractive. You don't really like to live with that, right? You could spray it with things that cats don't like. Cats don't like citric lemons, right?
Oh, really?
They hate it. But now you have to have lemon scented furniture. And then maybe your cat doesn't, you want the cat to sit next to you. And now the other cats can't come there.
Yeah.
So the real thing is can I put something directly in front of where it is? What I have found, look at what is the preference that cat is exhibiting by the things that they're scratching. They want something they can really dig their claws into and stretch. So it's sturdy. It's high enough up that I can reach up and I can really come down and scratch, right? So it's stretching. It's there, right? So what can I replicate in what I'm offering as that substitute? And a lot of the scratching posts that we see are very flimsy. They move around a lot. So it's not really like it's a very sturdy post that we're putting in front of something. I would suggest the strongest, and when I say strongest, I mean in terms of sturdy. And there's some things that are available where it's like kind of sisal wrapped and it's sitting on a platform. And then you take that and you spray it, or you rub in either catnip or valerian root. Valerian is a relative of catnip, and or silver vine. These are all cat attractants. to attract the cat to this new scratching post that you want them to use instead, right? Sometimes it's carpet. Sometimes they like the carpet better because they would rather have that than the Cecil. Cecil has come up in a lot of research as being a preferred, but we're also talking about individuals.
What exactly is
So
Cecil?
Cecil is like that rope.
Oh, the rope that they have on there.
The rope, that they wrap
they
around
those
that.
things with.
Yeah.
I get it. Wow, that's interesting. That is really interesting. And is that the same for dogs? That punishment, or that you do the same 4 things for dogs?
Yes, any animal.
Any animal.
Yeah. We want to remove punishment. That's going to be, not only are we talking about how it's often ineffectively applied with that, but the animal can't learn anything when it's being punished, because what happens is the brain is not in a learning capacity because of what's happening within the chemistry of the brain when one is being punished. You can't learn anything new when you're being punished. Right? All you're learning is that this hurts.
I feel that way just as humans. Humans are the same, I guess. We're all the same. We don't want to be punished either.
No. Wow. And there's an ethical component.
Oh, wait 1 second. Tell me another thing. Tell me.
So, and there's also an ethical component of this, because there's a big rift right now in the dog training community. I think it's probably with how we're working and training any animals, where people want to be able to use punishment because it is very quick and it is very momentarily effective, and we can see a lot of results and very quickly to an immediate scenario. And working with positive reinforcement will take more time, but it's a more steady and it's a more fixed result that you get. It doesn't damage the relationship. You have a better result long term. And it also gives you the opportunity to be able to teach alternate behaviors instead of. But the biggest thing too, I think, really to answer to this is really, what about the ethical or moral component of something that we want to champion, to say that I have the right to be able to hurt you to get you to do something.
Yeah. We shouldn't have that right.
No.
I have a special guest that wants to come on and talk about her cat. She is my co-host on our Tuesday version of Lunch Therapy, Mama J. So I'm going to bring her on. She's ready. All right, Mama J, welcome to Lunch Therapy. Get that microphone
Hi
going.
there.
Hi there.
Hi there.
Welcome.
Yes, so my issue is 2 years ago, we adopted a puppy mill dog, a Havanese. He was 8 months old, which was a whole adventure in itself. We have adopted all of our pets over 25 years. So we had him, but I had already adopted a cat a year before. That's Sugar Kitty. So Sugar Kitty and Zeke, over the last 2 years, have never gotten along. So she lives in a very stressful environment. She does have places to be where he can't get her, but but his whole mission every day is to see if she's going to the kitty pan, or if she's going to her tower, or if she's leaving the tower to go back into her other room. And that's his whole mission, is to bug her.
Intercept?
Yeah. And so now they'll be, and she'll, if he's bugging her, like, and she's in the tower, she'll reach down and kind of swat at him, but nothing vicious. So within the last month, she was traumatized over, I was gone for 3 days. And for some reason, she was very upset for whatever reason. I don't know what happened when I didn't see her. But she started pooping and peeing in the bathtub. I took her to the vet. No UTI. Vet says let's change some behavior. Another kitty pan. Let's put pheromones. Plug in some pheromones. I did all of that, and she kind of calmed down, and she was okay. Last week, she snuck outside, went under the deck, which of course Zeke terrorized her because he knew she was under the deck. So it's bark, bark. Finally, at 3:30 in the morning, I got her back in the house. The next day, she shit in my bed
She's
and peed
talking
on
to
my
you.
bed. Yeah. And so now she seems okay. But sometimes it makes me so sad because she's my cat. And at night is our time. And that's when she can sit on my lap. She sometimes sleeps with me. But Zeke, we do keep them apart a lot. So it's not like this is, all day. We have them gated. But every day I feel like I'm just in this environment of stress regarding my pet. I could kind of cry. It's hard on me to watch this happening because I love them all, but I worry about my cat, and I don't know what to do.
Okay, so I want to just say something about that inappropriate elimination, unacceptable, really, for us, because it's not inappropriate for them. So, certainly, when it comes to communication, animals, again, feces and urine have all kinds of components of, it's not just the pheromones, they have all kinds of chemo signals, chemical signals in there that are being released that other animals are picking up on, right? So think about that. So male cats will spray. They're spraying because it's like sexual availability. I'm here. There's all kinds of information. Dogs, when they get out there, when they want to sniff on a walk, they're picking up everything. They know so much information. We don't even know half of the things that they're picking up. We literally do not have this organ, this Jacobson's organ, which is in the roof of the mouth of a cat or a dog, where they can pick up and they can process pheromones. So they're getting so much information that we're not really aware of. And this is kind of goes to some of the complications with research that we do with animals, but that aside for the moment, because we really can't measure what we don't know, right? So anyway, what one way we do know when we measure stress is we take non-invasive samples of urine and feces, and we can measure cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. I truly believe, and there's not enough work on this. I don't even know if there is work on this. I keep saying this, I write about this, is that when it comes to where we see these animals peeing and pooing on our clothing, on our beds, which is the biggest depository of our scent, that they are trying to communicate to us distress. I believe if we took that urine and that feces, the cortisol would be off the roof. So
Yeah.
and people get upset. They're like, oh, they're mad at me. It's vengeance. This is a cry for help.
Yeah.
This is the animal saying, I am so upset with what is going on. Can you help me? Okay.
Yeah.
So you outline the situation. You know what the cat is protesting. The cat is upset because the dog is harassing the cat.
Yeah.
So separation, fine, that's great. But how to get the dog to stop bothering the cat, and how to take the cat now who's in a state where they're traumatized and to relax the cat, right? So you
Yeah.
got to look at the environment. What can you change in the environment for that to happen? I would say if that dog, and I don't know, but just going off just the very basics of what you're saying, if this dog only has the cat for entertainment, can we give this dog something else to do besides going after this cat?
He
So
has a,
how
yes. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was going to say, we have another dog that he plays with, Bendy. So they're buddies, you know. So he does have a buddy. And Zeke is now about 2.
okay, so he's still a puppy, right?
Yes.
So he's just coming out of puppyhood.
Yeah.
And also at that age, when they're that age, they're harder to work with as when they're getting out of puppyhood, because there's the brain is still developing and they're still, have this little juvenile delinquent aspect to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he has another puppy that he plays with. This is a 2-year-old dog. He's a little dog, right? But
Yeah.
how are you feeding him? Does he have a food puzzle? This is really what I want to go to. I want this
Okay.
dog. Does he have other things? A thing that dogs going to back to natural behavior. Can he develop a chewing habit where he can have toys that he can engage with? And I'm talking about taking his food bowls away from him and feeding him with the food bowls. I'm not talking about a slow feeder, which is frustration.
Right.
I'm talking about a Kong, a Topol,
Yeah.
a comfort bone where you can take his food and you can stuff it into there. And now he can take his time and sit there and chew the food out. And this can bring down that energy. When he goes on walks, I'm hoping that he gets to go out of the house and he gets for 3 or 4 walks a day and he gets to sniff everything when he's outside. So again, he can calm down. Sniff, you can also do snuffle mats where you put the dry food. If he just has the dry food, you put that into a sniff mat instead of, is he on wet and dry or just dry?
Just dry.
Okay. So you can't really do the puzzle feeder with these chewing, although I would suggest that because you could even moisten that and them to use the puzzle feeders, you have to amp up the appeal for it.
Okay.
So, mixing it with chicken broth or Greek yogurt or something where you can then, so you can stick it in there, but want to give this dog other activities besides the cat and activities that are dog activities, right?
Okay.
Because he wants to play with the cat he can chase. That's fun. He can run after the cat.
Yeah.
Can we give him something that he can do that to have more of a dog life?
Yeah.
That's not just the cat chasing kind of a thing.
I gotcha.
Wow, that is
So I would, and also he has the other dog to play with. I'm going to say something else, which is also going to be helpful, which is training, right? Short, frequent bouts of training. When I'm talking, I'm asking him like, sit, good sit, nice sit, kind of thing, asking him for like 3 behaviors that he does. One, we talked about how do we train and a behavior plan. And the last part of it I talked about or mentioned, or Karen, this comes from Karen overall, recognizing good behaviors. So this is one of the most overlooked aspects of training. And it's one of the best things you can actually do is to capture behavior. So Zeke is just lying there. He's not bothering the cat, right?
Right.
So when he's not bothering the cat, that's when we want to praise him. He's not bothering the cat. We don't want to yell at him for going, you could. And I'm not saying ever that you can't redirect. You could always redirect, right?
Yeah.
You could always say, Zeke, redirect him, distract him, and then throw something or whatever so that a ball for him to chase. So it's away from the cat if you see it at that moment. But capturing behavior, which is the last part of a behavior plan, which is one of the most overlooked and the biggest and easiest way to train, is by finding the behaviors that he's doing and noticing them and praising them for him when he's doing them. So he's lying there quietly. Good, quiet, Zeke. Every time you see it, good, quiet. Tell him that 5 times a day. And what is nice about that is you also will get a request that you can actually ask him for at times. He starts to go after the cat. Zeke, quiet, good, quiet. You've got to train that. You've got to get it down so you proof it by doing it over time. But you will actually at some point get an alternate behavior. So if we start with giving him dog things to do, give him a little bit more, enrich his life with dog activities.
Okay.
Besides just like, I'm chasing the cat, I'm chasing the cat. Cat needs time. And I would also go back to, I would play in this cat's, because she is very traumatized at this point. I would do the interactive play. I would play classical music for both of them, which has been shown. There's a lot of study on classical music. In New York City, we have 105.9 FM, which is I like the classical music stations because they don't have commercials, and they also have announcers' voices, which are very soothing and calm,
Okay.
that kind of thing. But if you play that at a low level, that's also going to can bring down some of the emotional energy. There's research on that. So, and I don't think that the pheromones, the plugins, they just have such a minor effect.
Okay.
But with the cat, does she like interactive play? Can you do
Yeah. Yeah.
because if you did that, and that's the other thing too, another thing that's going to be very helpful with your companion animals or schedule and routine.
Mm-hmm.
So if you keep a consistent schedule, we control everything in our animals' lives. But one thing that we can give them is we can give them a schedule. And they know at the same time every morning, this is when I get fed. The same time in the afternoon is when I get fed. Just like I talked about the puzzle feeder for the dog, puzzle feeders for cats are a great thing. Of
Okay.
course, with a dog, you're going to have to keep it separate because the dog will go after it. The rolling, again,
Oh, yeah.
the feeders themselves have to appeal to the natural behavior of the animal. So for the dog, you want something where they can chew it out.
Mm.
For the cat, or sniff it out. With the cat, you want something where they can, bat it out. But those rolling feeders with the dog don't work. But like a tray feeder is a really great thing for a cat because you can elevate it, the kind of thing where they can
Okay.
scoop it out, and take their time with it. Again, you want to change the emotional energy that this cat is going through right now because it's very traumatized, by appealing to what can I give this cat where I can kind of change the way the brain is working right now by giving it other things that are going to bring down those neurons that are firing in the wrong directions. So interactive play, I would suggest on a regular basis. And cats have very short attention spans. Do it for 3 minutes, do it for 2 minutes. Don't do it for more than that. Hide the fishing wand toy when you're not playing with it, and then try. And I would definitely keep them separated for
Mm-hmm.
at least a week or so right now. You don't want, they need to chill out, right?
They'll
And
be
then,
separated. Yeah, they'll be actually separated for 2 weeks because we're going to be gone and the dogs will go to a house sitter and the kitty will be home. So she'll have peace and quiet for 2 weeks.
she'll
And
have
so,
a sitter that's going to come in.
uh-huh.
And so tell your sitter, PS, to come at the same time. And if you
Okay.
don't have a remote camera, I would highly suggest anybody that has cat sitters or dog sitters coming in to have remote cameras so that you can know
Okay.
when your sitters come and what's happening with your sitters when they're in your house and you're not there.
Okay.
Wow. That's some
Thank you
great
so much. I
advice.
appreciate that.
Thanks, Mama
Great
Jay, for coming
advice.
on. That was really
Thank
insightful.
you. Thank
You're welcome. And do check out my websites and
I
other things,
will.
because I have more stuff on there, and it's
Yeah,
all free for the reading, so you can just go
Okay. Oh, I feel so much better. Thank you so much.
it's so
no, you're more than
great.
welcome.
So Frania has this great YouTube channel, and then also animalbehaviorist.us. There's so much information here on your
And my
YouTube
book.
channel. And then, of course, the book. Let me see if I can get the book on the screen, too. Hold on a sec. I'll get it. But yeah, so the book is in the show notes for the show. So check that out. And let me see if I can get the... Oh, Boney, my assistant, doesn't have the book. But anyway, check out the book and I got mine through a Kindle reader, but there's also the physical book that you can get, link in the show notes. You have 2 books too, right?
I do. I have my first book was Cats and Dogs, and
Yeah.
then I have Behavior Matters for Cats and Dogs. So this one is more kind of came from just all the stuff that we've been talking about, the questions that people have that I got from clients and from teaching and all the rest of this stuff. And I wanted to go a little bit deeper because when you read enough stuff,
Yeah.
some of it is just the same thing and it's too fluffy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to go a little bit deeper so that you could really know more about it and also how to approach it and how to deal with it. So
Thanks so much for being on the show. This has been so informative and so wonderful of you and generous to share this information with us. How did you I just want to ask you how you got into this animal behavior. Is it something that you were always interested in since you were a little kid?
I mean, I always loved, yeah, right. I mean, and first of all, thank you for having me. This has been, it's really a joy to be able to share this information about animals.
That is great to hear.
We do love them and care about them. And that is really, I think the answer to that question is, as much as I loved them and as much as I wanted to work with them, I did a course, a 2-week class in Santa Clarita on training exotic animals.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yes, for the movies, right? I work with tigers and
Really?
lions and all that.
Wow.
And that's a whole other story, but got some job offers, didn't take them for various reasons with Ringling Brothers and all that. But what I really kind of brought me to was this fascination of how do they experience the world? Because they're so different than us, but they're so similar to us in so many ways. And I wanted to really learn about that. And so I didn't want to just do it in an intuitive way. I didn't want to just do it where, everybody's going to self-interpretation, like this is what I think.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to go back to school and really learn about it formally.
Yes.
What does the science say? And then that's the whole thing about applied animal behavior is there's a whole science, and you can take this research and you can say, okay, there's a skill, right? You have to be able to know what works and what doesn't, and dependent on different variables in your individual situations. But I was just fascinated. The more I would learn about it, the more I wanted to learn about it in the most formal way possible to really get all the right information, as close as it could possibly come. Because we're never going to be able to get into anybody's head or really know everything, but how much could I learn that I could really work with them and really be able to understand them in that way.
Well, we really appreciate that because it's such a mystery to us and such hit and miss.
That's the book.
There's the book, Behavior Matters for Cats and Dogs. There's a link in the show notes. Check it out. It's very comprehensive. Also gives you a little bit of history about cats and dogs and their relationship with humans, and also enables you to understand what they're saying a lot more rather than just sort of coming up with your own anthropomorphized viewpoint on cats and dogs. All right, time for dance break. We're going to play a little song here and then say thank you to everybody for coming out here and checking it out. And please pass this on to your friends. And also Frania, if you want to get a hold of her, she's at animalbehaviorist.us. She does consulting for people that have cats and dogs and birds and all kinds of domestic animals. All right, here we go.
Thank you.
Dance break. This is just a little music here from Paloma B. Wonderful artists out there in YouTube land. And just a little thank you to everybody. Thanks to Mama J for coming to the show today too, and ask her questions about Zeke and Sugar Kitty.
Rusted brandy in a diamond glass. Everything is made from
Subscribe to her YouTube channel.
Time is made from honey, slow and sweet. Only the fools know what it means. Temptation.
So yeah, check out her station, Paloma B. And in the show notes, you'll see all kinds of links and things. And also, if you want to go to the play tonight and tomorrow, Camila Lopez directing, our very own Camila Lopez directing and starring in the staged reading. This has been Lunch Therapy, and we're here every Friday at noon.